This program's brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Large or small, Virginia farmers work year-round to help put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.
Hi everybody, welcome to Virginia Farming. I'm Amy Rocher. This week we travel to Afton to catch up with Christine and Denver Riggleman and see how they use Virginia grains in their spirits at Silverback Distillery. Then Chris Mullins has tips on growing sweet potatoes from the ground up. We'll also have the Ag Calendar, a Minute in the Field video, and of course the Ag News of the Week, all on this edition of Virginia Farming. Monroe Bay Vineyard will expand its farm winery in Westmoreland County. The company will invest more than $385,000 to build a tasting room and a production facility for its wine and hard cider operations, creating 7 new jobs in the Northern Neck region. Monroe Bay Vineyard produces wine and hard cider next to James Monroe's birthplace near the town of Colonial Beach. The company will expand its existing vineyard and orchard, working directly with Virginia producers to grow more than $1.4 million in grapes, apples, and other fruit over the next 5 years. Governor McAuliffe approved a $30,000 grant from the APHID Fund to assist with the project, which Westmoreland County is matching with local grant funds. This is the first APHID facility grant announcement for this county. Well, according to the National Agricultural Statistics Service, sheep and lamb inventories throughout the Commonwealth are unchanged, but goat inventories increased from last year. The total inventory for cattle and calves in Virginia was estimated at 1.48 million. That's up 10,000 head from last year, with 6 classes showing increases. Well, certain genetic traits are required to contribute quality through the beef production chain. But the question remains, what's the perfect feedlot steer for today's market environment? Bob Severa has more.
An ideal beef steer is one you can profitably produce again and again to earn premiums on a value-based grid. Paul Dykstra crunched the numbers and says the perfect animal would make a 900-pound certified Angus beef prime yield grade 2.9 carcass.
We've gone from 60% to 70% choice in the last 10 years, which is very rapid improvement, particularly as we look at history where for decades we saw really no change whatsoever prior to that point. The packer is willing to pay us for carcasses that are better than average. So if 70% is the average, we're left with the remaining 30% of the choice select spread. The packer is willing to pay us for each choice carcass. As a result, that's a little bit smaller share than we would have had just a few years ago of the choice select spread. So we've got to add to that with, again, shooting for the certified Angus beef brand target as well as prime, and quite frankly, having well-rounded all-purpose cattle in the feed yard and on the rail.
The target feeding numbers would include a feed-to-gain conversion at 5.6 and gain 3.8 pounds per day as a calf fed. The industry-wide gain ratio is 6.2, so just making that improvement in conversion saves more than $50.
The idea of the perfect steer, I think, is quite universal across the United States in our production environments. Granted, we may start with a different package with different challenges in terms of our genetic selection that we must maintain given those different environmental constraints, but in the end, we can probably find bulls that will fit our operation, even give us replacement heifers that are very suited to our environment that also have higher levels of marbling, for instance, larger ribeye size and better overall feed yard performance as well, that come out of a package that is still very suitable to those different environments. So it's an equal opportunity thing.
Aim high, even higher than you might think you need to. Dykstra suggests a goal of 60% CAB acceptance with 10 to 20% prime on top.
That's really going to boost our economic return much more than, say, getting 100% choice carcasses. We simply need to ask more out of our cattle to get more out of the market in today's environment.
I'm Bob Cervera.
Thanks, Bob. A Farming Leaders Conference is slated for Saturday, March 19th at Blue Ridge Community College. This inaugural event focuses on communication and preparing our farm families to stand up for agriculture. There will be concentrated workshops presented by engaging leaders dedicated to communication style, modern communicative issues, positive media interaction, and opportunities to hone your technique. Registration is required, and more information can be found at farmingleaders.com. Well, distilling spirits dates far back into Virginia's rich history. One family has started their own business, Silverback Distillery in Afton. Even though their products are receiving rave reviews internationally, it hasn't been an easy undertaking. We'll find out why straight ahead on Ag Insights. Today we're in Nelson County and we're visiting Silverback Distillery. I'm joined by CEO and distiller Christine Riggleman. Christine, thank you so much for having us out today.
You're welcome.
This is a beautiful place.
Thank you.
So, how long has Silverback been here?
We've been open for 1.5 years.
Okay.
Since August of 2014.
And I have to ask about the name. Where did you get the name Silverback from?
I think that's one of the first questions most customers ask. So my husband and I both own this together. It was my baby and my brainchild of what I wanted to do, but my husband has been wonderful and gone along with almost every idea I had. And so we have 3 daughters and me, and so 4 females in the house sort of outnumber him all the time. And his nickname is Silverback, because it was either go gray or go bald with that many females in the house. So that's the story, because he's been wonderful and supported me with what I wanted to do. So I wanted to, as a tribute, name it after him.
So you said this is something you've always wanted to do. What made you decide, hey, let's start a distillery?
Well, basically, we bought the property for our home. We live on it, but I also wanted to do a business on the front with whatever property we purchased. And the road frontage, the visibility here was amazing. The traffic, and this is a tourist destination. You know, people want to get away for the weekend, and it's a wonderful location. But I wanted to make sure that after we bought it, that I watched and observed. I didn't want to oversaturate the market, because we have a 14-mile stretch along Route 151 here in Afton, and it's 7 wineries, 3 breweries, 2 hard cider places now, and there was no distillery. And I was always fascinated with spirits and liquor, and honestly, I'm not a beer or wine person. Drink a little bit, but I've always liked spirits, so I wanted to make something that I felt comfortable with and I enjoyed. So I went and apprenticed out west, and I learned the foundations. And then I had a couple master distillers as consultants that my husband and I hired, and just went from there.
Okay. Now, what spirits do you all distill here?
So we've got our vodka. It's called Berenge vodka. Berenge is a scientific term for gorilla. So it's got a silverback coming through the back of the glass there. And then we've got our gin. Our gin is called Strange Monkey Gin. And then this is our blackback white. So all the young male gorillas that surround a silverback are called blackbacks.
I want to talk about the spirits themselves.
Sure.
So starting with the vodka, what is your vodka made from?
It's 100% wheat. So I researched every ingredient that I thought I wanted to use, and little things I figured out along the way. And I don't go the main ingredient in gin is juniper.
Okay.
And so I don't go too heavy on it. You do have to have it as a main ingredient, but we also balanced it with citrus. So yeah, it's a nice flavor profile. And then we do a London dry gin. So we don't. Some people basically take all your botanicals and they just sort of steep it in your base, which is like usually your vodka. So our base for our gin is our vodka.
Everything is grown
right here
and distilled here.
Yes, and then all of our spent mash. So when we're done distilling, it's called spent mash. So it's all the leftover grains. There's actually no alcohol content in it, but it still has the flavor of it. So the animals love it. So we give it to our local farmers. They use it for their fertilizer, they use it for the cows, they use it for pigs. So we're giving back to the farmers as well. So.
And that really eliminates almost all of your waste.
Yes, and we're the first distillery in the country to use geothermal technology for our chilling process. So at least that we know of. I mean, I Googled the heck out of, seeing if there was anybody else out there, but a lot of distilleries have popped up since us and are modeling after what we have done. So it helps us in our chilling process. We use the Earth's natural temperatures to chill at certain parts of our processes that we need. And so we're not taking huge, heavy equipment, and it cuts down our our expenses for our electric and everything. So, but
Right.
it's very environmentally safe.
Well, I am not very schooled on the distilling process at all. So can you walk me through the process of, for example, how you start from start to finish to get your bottle of vodka?
So what you do is you start in a mash cooker. And a mash cooker, it has coils inside of it, and we feed it with live steam, and then we fill the coils up with water to certain levels, and then we add our grains at different points and different things, and
All
cook
according
it-
to your recipe.
Yeah, according to my recipe. And then basically, when we're done with that, they sit in fermenters. And the fermenters, some people have a closed top fermenter, some people have open fermenter, some people have wood, some people have metal. There's so many different choices to get you a different end result with each one. And basically, they sit in the fermenters anywhere from 3 to 5 to 7 days, depending on the temperatures that you have in the back. And then
Okay.
as it's doing that, it's converting over. So all the yeast is converting everything over, and you're starting to make alcohol. So basically, when it's ready, we put it through the still, pump it through the still, and it strips away all the grains. You have the mash that comes out, we give it to the farmers, and then the good product comes out and we have the alcohol. I can turn these around between start cooking it to being in the bottle in about 7 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now let's go back and visit the whiskey and bourbon side. What's your turnaround time and what's that process like?
So basically, when we're done distilling, it'll either be bottled into a clear, depending on what recipe we're doing, or it goes into a barrel to age. So the whiskey, we're going to age a minimum of 2 years, and then the bourbon a minimum of 3. So, and then we'll
Okay.
go longer with some, and then we'll do some fun stuff. So.
Okay. Is this all family-run business?
Yeah, so my husband and I own this together. He had his own Department of Defense company, and he recently separated from that, and so now he's on board full-time, so we have the resident silverback around, and so that's wonderful. But our oldest daughter graduated from UVA in the spring, and she's our general manager. She's been with us since the beginning, and she's going to Scotland. She just got accepted to go to get her master's degree in fermentation and distillation to help Mama make the hooch. Our middle daughter, she does all of our documentaries and films and all that kind of stuff, and our youngest helps fill in whenever possible. So it's very much family run and very close team we have. We have about anywhere between 12 and 15 employees, depending on the season. So we call them our troop. When gorillas and primates have a family, they call it a troop, and we call our employees troop ambassadors because they're like our family. So it's pretty awesome.
It's a great company. It sounds like everybody here has a great time working together, and it is family.
Yeah, it is.
Well, speaking of family, we're going to go find your silverback here and
Sounds
talk
good.
to him for a little bit.
Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
So we've caught up with Denver Riggleman. Denver is the old silverback, from what your wife tells us. You're the reason that this company is named what it is.
Sadly, and I got gray hair pretty early, and I was a bit huskier too. So I was about 60 pounds heavier about a year ago. So I had to lose a little bit of weight in order to live a little bit longer on this earth. So I'm more of the thin back now. It's more than the silverback.
I wanted to talk a little bit about distilleries in general. Now, Virginia distilleries are governed by
ABC.
ABC.
Yep.
So how does
That's
that work?
Well, we're a little bit different from beer, wine, and cider in that we're in the 3-tier system probably a little bit more than anybody because actually Virginia controls our distribution. So they control how many stores we're in, they control our distribution, they control our retail price points, they control how much we can serve in a distillery. They control every single aspect of our business. So it really behooves us to be pretty friendly with the ABC,
Right.
despite the restrictions.
But those are not the same restrictions that are on
That is
beer and wine.
That is absolutely correct. And, and right now we're trying to change some of those laws and issues. ABC's tough on us, but they have to be. Where they can be supportive, they've been very supportive. But it's the legislature, actually, in Richmond that determines what ABC can or can't do. And right now we're fighting that very legislature and the other alcohol industries because they're not real happy that we're trying to liberalize like they are. I think the biggest surprise for us and what we've been going through is how virulent the opposition has been from beer and wine lobbyists against us. And we're going through that every day. Now, ABC has liberalized some of those things based on what the legislature allows them to do. It's really up to the legislature to tell ABC what laws to enforce and what we're allowed to do now. I think when you're looking at the surrounding states, how they're liberalizing, we've actually had states contact us, Amy, to ask to move this distillery based just on our sales to their states, and they would help us move. And that really stings us because we're so small in the grand scheme of things. What did ABC do last year? $800 million in tax revenue. All the distilleries in Virginia did about $5 million total. And that's gross sales. That's not profit for us. That's not profit for ABC.
Right.
We're that small. And we're at the mercy of the big liquor producers because we actually make our own stuff rather than trucking stuff in from other states or trucking stuff in from actual chemical
Sure.
factories. We actually make it. I know that sounds crazy with Virginia Grains and water. So we're at a disadvantage there. We're at a disadvantage with the beer and wine lobbies who don't want us to have the same laws that they have where they can freely sell at events. They actually get to keep the retail price of their bottle. They only have to pay taxes on sales out of their actual locations. We don't have any of those
So
fun
you
times.
can't keep the retail price
Oh,
on your
absolutely not.
on your bottle. So how does that work?
So what happens is we sell you a bottle for $29.89. For that $29.89, you also pay tax on it, 5.3%. So you pay $31.47 for that bottle from our distillery and from an ABC store.
Okay.
I hate to tell our gross price, but our gross price is only 45% of that, our wholesale price. ABC takes 55% of that, which doesn't count our federal taxes either, which is another 6% on federal taxes. So each one of our bottles,
So now you're down to 30% or less.
30% or less. And we have to pay all of our labor, all of our bottle prices, all of our cost of goods sold, or everything that we have, all of that comes out of that 30% on a bottle. Now what's even better, which should make you very happy, ABC does get all those taxes. However, their profit we actually saw on the bottle, even after their taxes, about $9.85 per bottle. Our net profit on our vodka and gin, which are internationally award-winning liquors, is about $1.50 per bottle. So that's what we're fighting.
We're actually sitting in your tasting room right now.
That's right.
So what can visitors expect when they come to your tasting room?
Well, they can expect probably more fun than you're allowed to have by law with 2 ounces of liquor. What they can expect is an education on our liquor. They can expect the fact they can watch it being made right here. Right back there in that distillery, they can watch through the window. There's even days on Saturdays we might be bottling, we might be making liquor, we might be blending, we might be taking in grains. And people are absolutely they're in awe that they get to see that because we're completely transparent here. Not only that, all of the people that work for us, and they're mostly college students because they're smarter than me, but most of them that are here, actually, we take them through the whole process and teach them how to distill. So they're behind the bars actually giving you the lowdown, how our liquor is made, what it's going to taste like, what you compare it to. So we have craft mixers and we have
Okay.
tastings that they can come in and they can get, so many different types of drinks. Our Strange Monkey signature cocktail. They can get a Cape Cod with our Berengue vodka. They can get the Alpha Elixir, which is blackberries, ginger in our vodka.
Wow.
So there's all
that sounds
kind-
amazing.
It is amazing, and we present it with fun, we present it with flair, and we present it in a way that they know it's craft, and it's actually grain to glass, 100% Virginia grains, water from our property, and we're blasting music and playing movies and having a great time.
Sounds like fun.
It's a lot of fun.
So if any of our viewers are interested in purchasing any Silverback products, they can come here,
They can.
or where else? Liquor stores
Yes.
around the state?
Around the state, we're in 140 out of 350 ABC stores now.
Okay.
But by law, and that's where ABC is helpful, if you go in and ask for a bottle at any liquor store, they have to get it for you. That's what they have to do at an ABC store. So that's very helpful for us. And
Okay.
and again, where ABC can support us, they've been fantastic. And so that's one thing that you can do. Also, you can get it online. Now, we have to ship to DC so that you can actually get it online because Virginia doesn't allow shipping of their liquor either.
Okay.
But we actually ship to DC, and then DC, you can actually go online, hook up to it with our DC stores, and actually get our liquor delivered to your door.
And can people do that through your website?
They can do that through our website.
And what is your website?
Our website is www.sbforsilverbackdistillery.com.
sbdistillery.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Denver, thank you so much for having us out today.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. I've
Thanks.
learned a lot about distilling and spirits and everything.
Well, now I think after the camera's off, all is left to do is for you to drink. I think. Oh, and I will. I'll be quiet about that. Thank you.
We'll be right back. Sweet potatoes have recently gained popularity, particularly when they're prepared as fries. Those beautiful orange vegetables are pretty easy to grow. With tips, here's Chris Mullins.
Today we're going to be talking about sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes, you might think about Thanksgiving. That's when you usually eat them, but they're good all throughout the year. They're very healthy for you. They have a lot of vitamin A, vitamin C, potassium, calcium, and they're sometimes maybe thought to be a little bit better than white potatoes. They're also very easy to grow, and you as a home gardener should have no problem growing sweet potatoes in your garden. All right, well, we're in this sweet potato patch here. You can see they're growing really well. We've got some that we just dug up. It's a little early right now that we've dug these, so they're a little small. The longer that they stay in the ground, the larger they're going to get. This is a red variety. This is called Puerto Rico, but there are a lot of different varieties out there. Red flesh, orange flesh, even some stringy ones like this. There's a variety called Haman. It's a white sweet potato, very, very sweet. Ones that you might find that do best in the garden are ones like Georgia Jet or Centennial. Also, Beauregard is a great variety. It is grown commercially, but it can also do very well in the home garden because it's very productive. You get a lot of sweet potatoes out of your field. So if you were going to grow these, it'd be best to have sandy soil. But if you're not in a sandy location, if you've got heavy clay soils, you might want to amend that soil with a little bit of organic matter or some compost to kind of make a little better environment for those sweet potatoes to grow. Because this is the root part that we're harvesting, right? One thing about sweet potatoes for the home garden, they're nice because they don't have a lot of disease or insect problems. But one thing to think about are weeds. As you see these plants here, they've vined over the row middles. There's not much chance of weeds growing through here now because all the sun's being blocked. But until this happens, until these vines cover over, you're going to need to make sure all the weeds are out of the row middles. You can pull them out or use a hoe and cultivate in between there. Now, you're seeing the plants now towards the end of the season. Now, let's think about at the beginning of the season planting these. The best thing for the home grower to do is to go buy sweet potato slips. Those are the pulled plants that can be then transplanted into the ground. You can make a hill and plant these in the ground, put the plants within the row about 2 to 3 feet apart, and have rows that are about 4 to 6 feet apart to give them lots of space because they really do run and move and they'll do really well for you at that spacing. So you've grown your sweet potatoes, now you've got to figure out when to harvest these. Well, like I said before, usually these have maturity dates anywhere from 90 days to 150 days depending on the variety. One way to tell they're ready is as it starts to get colder, these will naturally kind of die back and it's time to harvest them. But you can check them periodically as you get towards that 90-day, 100-day period and see how they've done. They'll get a little larger the longer you keep them in the ground. And to dig them, you usually something like this, a spading fork, digging carefully around the plant area, giving yourself about 8 to 10 inches on each side of the plant and probably almost a foot deep. And then you just want to gently lift them out of the ground. They come out dirty like this. They're going to be bunched all together. You want to leave them on the surface to dry in the sun for a little bit, a few hours. And then you can take them inside. Don't need to clean them off. And if you want to cure them, they can be cured in warm temperature, somewhere that's relatively dry, about 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 2 weeks. And this will help to make them turn some of that starch into sugar. Then they can just be taken inside and used whenever they're ready to eat. So a real simple process to harvest these. For more information about sweet potato production, please contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener, or look online at the Virginia Cooperative Extension website for a publication about sweet potatoes. For From the Ground Up, we'll see you next time.
Taking a look at the ag calendar, VSU's Beginning Farmer program will hold an Introduction to Whole Farm Planning workshop this Tuesday, February 23rd at Rappahannock Community College in Warsaw. Now, designed for beginning farmers to establish and sustain viable agricultural operations through whole farm planning programs, instructors will show new farmers where to get the help they need for any farming enterprise. Participation is free, but an RSVP is required. Contact Patrick Johnson for more information. That does it for our show. Thanks so much for watching and have a great week. I'm Amy Rocher for Virginia Farming.
From apples to zucchini, Virginia farmers work hard to put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.